Top story. Our reporter Mahlako Kamane attended the Gauteng education briefing and joins us now live. I believe that she's got the minister. Mahlako.
Yes, good afternoon indeed, Peter. I actually have the MEC with me, and he was just briefing the public. You'll remember what happened yesterday at the various districts in the province regarding the placement issues of learners. But MEC had also just briefed us. He also was present at the Parkmore district yesterday. Just to try and speak to parents and calm the situation down. Also, just telling parents that indeed what happened yesterday was, there was an error yesterday that happened. The SMS that parents had gotten to tell them to make their way to the districts was indeed, it happened by mistake. The department had plans to actually do a more synchronized, a more bigger, the addressing of this placement issue. But he also told us that, we saw a lot of parents also just saying and chanting that online must fall. But, MEC had said that out of the 310,000 applicants that had applied, over 200,000 of those have been given placements. There's just 34,000 that they're still needing to deal with. But I'm just going to speak to MEC, and he's just going to briefly explain to us, just some of the things that came out here as to that the problem is not with the system, rather, but saying that there's a challenge of preference. Let me just talk to MEC. MEC, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thanks, Mahlako.
You briefly spoke to us about the issues and the challenges that are there, saying that the system, there's nothing wrong with the system. Yeah. Can you just speak to that?
Thank you, but let me take this opportunity because I don't want to get tired to apologize to our parents for what happened yesterday, the confusion and the pain that they have to go through trying to place their children in our system. Indeed, if you check our systems, 85% of the parents that applied on time, they've been placed, they've given us document, and the children have been placed. We are left with 34,000. Of the 34,000, there are schools that still have available spaces. But because those schools were not on the preference list of parents, we are starting a process of consulting with those parents. And if they agree, we really believe that by the 30th of November, all these things will be sorted out. So it's not a question of the system that is overburdened, the system that is slow, or the system that is not working. It's the issue of preference. And if we can clear the issue of preference, we really believe that we have resolved majority of problems. But now we are capacitating people that are in the district. We are also capacitating our call center, as well as the people that are manning our email address, because frustration of parents that no one comes back to them. So we are now using the opposite method, where it's us that call parents now rather than wait for parents to call us so that we can clarify that matter. Indeed, I would give you one example of a school in Albertine. That Albertine High can only take 220 learners. They've got 1,400 parents that have applied. So of the 1,400, when you choose the 200, obviously the remaining ones will feel that the system is not right or that my child was not taken. So it's in those circumstances that we're trying to get alternatives.
And also, MEC, you spoke about, the areas where there are serious challenges in the province, Tshwane West. You also spoke about, I think it's the Centurion Corridor as well, Midrand. Yeah. You also made an undertaking that you'll be going to these areas, your Boksburg, your Benoni. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Indeed, like the Four Ways area, we've got fewer public schools in the Four Ways area. So I will be meeting with the community of that area just to develop a mechanism of how to open new schools in that area. The Centurion Corridor, it's where we are hard hit. There's one school there called Sutherland. The numbers are huge. You go to Acacia, the numbers are huge. So we are trying to mediate, and that is why I will personally go and address community meetings there so that the parents can get clarity on how we place and where will we finalize this online registration. But once more, apologies to parents. We will sort out this matter and ensure that every child is placed within our schooling environment.
And also, MEC, you spoke about the issue of appeal, how parents can come in and appeal. And there was obviously that situation that we know that some of the parents that we spoke to yesterday and Mayor Stahl saying that they had an issue of language, that they were then given a school where language was really, the child had never done maybe a home language of Sizulu or Sepedi or whatever. What then happens here? What is the process? A parent who finds themselves in that particular situation, what should they follow?
I want to emphasize that point. There will be no child that is going to be worse off out of the process of online registration. And that's the good thing of the online registration, because we know which school has what language, which school does not have what language. Unlike when a parent fills a form and they don't know whether that language is available in that school or not in that school. So with this process, a parent will not be worse off or a child be worse off by being taken to a school where either they need Afrikaans and the child didn't do Afrikaans, or they need you to do Sizulu and the child didn't do Sizulu. Those are the things that we're mediating, and the appeal process assists us. If we've placed you at the school where language is a problem, just pick up the appeal form, raise that matter, send it to us. Within 14 days and 21 days, we'll be in a position to respond and place your child at an appropriate school.
And just before I let you go, MEC, you also spoke about township schools. You mentioned Unity Secondary in Davidson, and there was another school in Soweto that you had great numbers there. But I think maybe to just not to take away from that, is there maybe a plan by the department to capacitate some of these schools in the township to maybe become English medium teaching schools? Is this something that the department has thought about?
Remember, we've made huge investment in townships. I mean, last year alone, we've got 12 schools that gave us 100% metric results. And we're building beautiful schools now in the township. So the number of people that are coming back to the townships, because it's better for a child to learn at a school that is close at home. And that is why we're investing a lot, because you can't overburden the schools that people say they are good. We have to rectify the problem. And the problem is that quality teaching must be in the townships as well. And that's why we are using this investment in terms of ICT, in terms of hiring the best teachers, hiring the best principals, so that we can turn around the education system. And I'm glad for the first time, you've got township schools that are creeping in as part of the schools that are already full. And that gives us an encouragement that parents are voting with their feet. They want these schools, and we must give them those schools.
And also, obviously, this online application gives you an indication of what is happening, which schools you need to give what. Do you have any schools where you're seeing really we're going to have to close down this shop?
Well, that information will only be available after the 30th of November, but I can tell you there will be. You can't have a school where out of 200 learners that need to come there, only 8 are applying. So it shows that there are problems there. But we'll only get that information after the 30th of November.
Thank you so much, MEC. And as you've heard there, the MEC for Education in Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, just briefly telling us about the challenges that happened yesterday, and also just the way forward, that he will indeed be visiting districts where there are high pressure districts where there are serious challenges, but also just merely saying that they will be consulting with parents that did not get their schools of preference, saying that there's nothing wrong with the system, with the online system, but rather preference here being an issue.
Mahlako, thanks very much indeed for giving us that update and that conversation that you had with the MEC. That's a story we'll continue to track, Palisa.